Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Wave Extra, coming to you right now from the Wave Now studio. I'm Jose Sosaya. Thanks for joining us as always, whether it's through your Wave Now app on your smart device, your Roku TV perhaps, or all of our social media channels. Just checking in on this Thursday, July 10th, just checking on the dates right there. Of course, just breaking down some of the stories we've been following throughout the day. Of course, for tonight, different perspectives on some breaking news and just hoping to follow any latest developments. I'm going to begin with perhaps the one I was able to go out with a crew myself sometime this afternoon when we found out really early this morning, actually, about this house fire that happened in Sellersburg. It was on the street called Masters Point. To my knowledge, I don't think we were able to get a crew there to see the active fire playing out, but what we were able to find based on address and a Tri-Township fire kind of leading us to where they got the call to go help these folks. We wanted to show you a little bit of what our photographers were able to capture just on the cameras on the ground and a bird's eye view from the drone. And so you're going to take a look at just the extent of the damage we're talking about here. So you're getting a pretty good look, the kind of damage it's going to take a long time to fully repair. Now, I want to share with you what I was able to find out from the Tri-Township Fire Department and from the chief, actually, through a phone call. So what we do know is at some point very early this morning, let's say before the hours of 2 a.m., it was 3 people inside. There were 2 people on the main level of this house you're seeing here, kind of as you're driving into a very small little cul-de-sac. But apparently what they described to fire investigators is they heard some kind of popping as if it was almost rain or hail. But in fact, when they went to go look at the windows in their backyard, it was the flames. And so obviously a big question is going to be what could have started this fire and all the damage that it caused. Based on what the chief was able to share with me over the phone is the 2 people who noticed that the fire had already started rushed to grab a 3rd person from the basement, and we learned that everyone's okay, no major injuries. Of course, you see what could have happened if anyone had stayed inside, just would have been catastrophic. Now, as far as the response to go help them, Tri-Township letting us know they might have sent around a crew of 12 to 14 with a mix of some other support from partner agencies like New Albany, other first responders in Clark County. The house itself, they were able to manage kind of where they were seeing the fire and the flames really shooting out. What complicated things a little bit for the firefighters, if you notice, there's a car there inside the garage. Well, it turns out it was at least a hybrid. It had a battery, so an electric battery, and that is what they heard exploding at some point very early in the night. The tires were exploding inside the garage. It took the collective group of firemen and women out there, at least an hour is the way the chief described it, to get that particular garage fire under control. Now, as far as the medical status for anyone who was inside, no super clear updates on that as of yet. But again, no one was badly hurt, at least not needing an immediate trip to the hospital. The fire partners called the Red Cross to help these folks find some lodging, get some food, and the response was only slightly delayed, only because we encountered this on our drive up there. It would have been a 5-minute response time for these Tri-Township crews, but because if you've had to drive in Sellersburg at all, there's a big project on Perry Crossing, which would have been the direct route to get to this home. But that's closed right now because they're fixing the road and just changing the paving there, and so just had to take a detour on another side street to get to this home. Timing again was of the essence, but thankfully everyone was able to make it out just in time, contain the fire just to this piece of the property. So you're seeing the extent of that. We're able to meet the fire marshal out there on site, hoping to catch up with him as far as whenever an investigator comes in, insurance adjusters, if this sort of collective effort is going to figure out what might have started this actual fire. But see, look at the damage all there for yourselves. So more stories for you as we're coming up, moving through the rest of this Thursday evening is something, unfortunately no one ever wants to have to deal with, you're going about the rest of your day and you come back from whether it was a hair appointment, a doctor's appointment, just stopping by the bank or whatever the case was, only to find out your car may have been broken into. Not a very happy, pleasant 4th of July for some hospital staff over at UofL's Peace Hospital, because unfortunately, this is what happened to them. And so Wave troubleshooters spent a little time digging into this latest blip, or what showed up in this trend. At least 3 break-ins is what they've discovered recently in the hospital's premises when it comes to car break-ins. So let's show you a little bit of that video we were able to get this afternoon. And so you're taking a look at what our crews were able to see from up top. Now, LMPD tells us break-ins like this, they're really just crimes of opportunities, and they come in waves at the hospital's parking lot, so it seems like they've just had to deal with this issue before. If you remember back in December, there were 20 cars broken into, and that was during a rainstorm. So perhaps, police describing whoever did this seizing on the opportunity to try and get some valuables inside those cars. LAPD right now says they have no suspects yet. UofL Health did tell us they've increased security and added another security car to patrol the parking lots just to keep another watchful eye. The troubleshooters looked at the city's crime map. It only shows 15 car burglaries have been reported at Peace Hospital over the last year. Now, the reason I bring that up is, of course, the troubleshooters also mention all the past reporting we've done, at least for this particular unique circumstance for cars and people who park at Peace Hospital, just because there was a similar pattern of robberies, thefts, burglaries, in healthcare facilities across Jefferson County. What we zeroed in on was in 2024 for Mary and Elizabeth. 11 incidents. Norton St. Matthews had been targeted 13 times, Audubon Campus 6, 17 of these in Baptist Health campuses. So we're talking about these kind of break-ins last year in 2024. And again, just sort of a reminder, unfortunately, for folks that the security was needed there. Some viewers have shared images of back when their cars were broken into. As far as the crime map, we looked back on at 2024, talking about 11 reports of robberies from cars pertaining to Peace Hospital. And officials at the hospitals, they said back then it was 20 cars that were broken into in that particular situation. So a story we'll likely be following to see if police do get any closer clues, leads, evidence into who might have done this latest string of car break-ins there. So now moving on to this other story I wanted to share with you all, because if you can believe, like I've said, the date today, it bears mentioning that within a month's time, all you kiddos and all you parents of kiddos at JCPS schools, you're going to be going back to school. It feels like summer just flies right by, and you're already thinking about the waning summer months and going back to school, getting ready, getting all those supplies, filling up the backpack. So it's crucial there. Something on the minds now, of course, of the district, as they're also discussing a path forward with new leadership under the new superintendent, Dr. Yearwood, is sort of addressing what's been a lingering problem as far as teacher vacancies are concerned. So to that end, we know that JCPS is hosting a job fair this week. What they're hoping to fill are a lot of vacant support positions. So if you're more familiar perhaps with having the dedicated teacher there, and teachers would need that kind of support as far as their plan is concerned and helping execute that curriculum into the school year. So let's take a look at some of I was hoping to be able to play some of that video, so we'll have to see if I can find it a little bit here. But in essence, we had our Fernando Garcia Franciscini take a closer look at this particular issue. Okay, now I think we're able to find this video I can play for you here. Okay, I'm going to switch it over there. All right, so it's crucial, needless to say there. So just to talk about the job fair, it's happening tomorrow from 10 to 2 at the Center for Professional Learning. If you're interested in helping get the word out, it's going to be at 3903 Atkinson Square Drive. July is actually the district's peak hiring month, and the district telling us it has open positions across departments for transportation, custodians, bilingual instructors, several different kinds of roles that could help the district, of course, fulfill its primary role of helping the students learn and succeed. So something we will keep track of, and of course, how that situation develops in hiring those support roles for JCPS heading into this new school year. All right, so coming up after the break, I'm going to bring in our Wave News at 11 reporter, Logan Perrone, and Logan's discussing, it's funny when you think about an issue that everyone can relate to is just the headache nightmares of traffic. And if you've lived here in the Louisville Metro for long enough, you know it's different spots that produce their own different headaches. So coming up, we're going to talk about a project in one particular part of town that is going to take some time to make some big changes, and we're going to see what Logan was able to follow up for us in that regard. So stay with us. We're going to take a quick break right here on Wave Extra. All right, folks, welcome back to tonight's Wave Extra, bringing in Wave News reporter Logan Perrone. Logan giving us some time as he's getting ready, of course, to prepare the report for Wave News at 11 tonight. And Logan, of course, we spend time in the afternoon discussing the stuff we think is of, most interest, something that's a lot of impact to a lot of people. Logan, you might say there's very few things that quite impact as many people on a given day than A, traffic, and B, the kind of interstate traffic when it gets really clogged up and people notice and they get angry. But sometimes there's a reason for these kind of big infrastructure projects. The one you wanted to look into, I think you'll place folks exactly where this is, but just kind of walk us through what you looked into today.
So first and foremost, this all starts last night. So I'm on my commute home. I drive on I-71 up to 264. And then for me, it's, just a matter of getting down 42 to where I live. Well, lo and behold, I'm driving. Usually there's nobody on the roads at night. And from Zorn Avenue, where, the water tower is, folks, all the way down to around the curve, maybe not that far, but it felt like that far. But it was quite a ways. There was just a ton of traffic on I-71, which, again, normally wouldn't be there at 11:30 at night when we get to go home. So I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe that's something going on there. There's a lot of construction going on. And then someone else in our newsroom sent an email about it. And so lo and behold, we know that there's a $130 million project going on right now from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. And it's meant to do a few things out there. It's going to reconstruct the interchange on 42 and 264. So that's going to be Brownsboro Road right there by the new VA. So let's take a look at that. Again, you can already see some of the cones that are down there. You can see the VA's gotten... I've been here for about a year now. That thing's been a thing forever.
It's looking so close to being done. It's almost like you're at the very last mile of the marathon, but obviously, you need to finish that strong. But obviously, that's just part of what you notice if you're taking these exits every day, right, Logan?
Yeah, and as I was writing the piece tonight, I was almost thinking like, oh, hey, you can't hardly, you can't miss this project. And I was actually going to be like, oh, I'm not talking about the VA. I'm talking about all these orange cones out there. And even I got on I-71 or I-264 to I-71 South the other day.
Right.
And I was just like, why is the paint different? Because, again, they're going to be doing a few things. Reconstruction of the intersection and the interchange there is one thing. But they're doing a few things. They're widening I-264. They're widening US 42. Again, that's Brownsboro Road. They're actually going to reconstruct the bridge. And I'm just going to read from the information online.
Mind you, and put us in your shoes with the storm tracker out here. Around what time are you guys
Rush
getting a
hour?
view of this? So
That's rush hour.
it's reflecting of when
And-
everyone just happens to want to go home.
So I'll actually, what people are seeing right here. Right here was,
And it's going to loop
about-
back around, so don't
yes.
worry. But
But right there at the end was 264
Right.
east to 71 south. That's always, or 71 north to Cincinnati. That's
Feels like a
always
constant.
problem. From exit 22 to the Cincinnati exit on 71 took us 3 minutes. That's like half a mile. And again, you don't think much of it, but like I've seen days and I've tried to merge on there. It's chaotic. Y'all that drive it know it is not that fun. They're widening I-264, US 42. Obviously, all of that is going to accommodate the VA, because again, that has been a talking point since I moved out there. The construction of that new VA causes a lot more traffic once it's open. And it's a great thing. But for us out there, you can just see it's going to cause a lot of traffic.
well, you see the footprint it
Yeah.
left at that stage in construction, and all the people, not just the people coming to get treatment and care, but all the work staff. You gotta somehow manage that flow coming in and out of the interstate.
I did not get to talk to this guy on the record, or not on the record, on camera.
Okay.
But there's this guy casually talking to me who is someone who works. He's working on the project there at the VA. He said to me, he's like, man, I don't know where these cars are going to go. Because you have one entrance in, and that is where you see the people getting off of 264 East. They decide to go on Brownsboro Road instead of getting off of 42, which is, again, it's weird because 42 and 22 both are parts of Brownsboro Road. So, I mean, what you end up having there, Jose, is, again, a big mess of people. I was actually able to go back and I took KSP data. Well, I'll leave this for people later. So if you want to watch it, you got to come back and watch Wave News at 11.
It's like you're working on the piece so people can look at the numbers with you tonight at 11.
I found from July 7th of last year to July 7th of this year, the number of crashes and injuries on that stretch of just 264 to 71 between Westport and 71. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it was both data from LMPD and Northfield.
Was it more than you were expecting when you first checked the numbers?
As someone who lives there, no. I think it was high, but I expected it to be high. As far as did it shock me? No.
Okay.
Because I've been driving that stretch of road now for a little over a year. And folks, I am with you. It is a mess. And as the one person, well, I can't even say what that person said to me. So we're just gonna leave it at that.
No, but you're going out there trying to, whatever answers you can get and asking the right questions. And, sometimes it's about understanding, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, just being as, nothing to compromise sort of the overarching goal. And it's a net benefit to make sure that it's the safest, strongest, most, efficient piece of infrastructure out there. But the problem is, or not a problem, just it's been sort of a pattern for all the time, over the course of developing and constructing and building out there that, is it an issue of what space do you need? And, how do you maneuver the people trying to use that space coming off of not just interstate roads, but, talking about that exit, I'm thinking of, people trying to merge onto Brownsboro Road. That's already a busy, city level street thoroughfare.
One of the busiest interchanges in the city of Louisville. So, again, when you also think about that, it's super busy. And I'm just, again, reading straight from Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's information on their website here. It is an investment to enhance safety, improve mobility, and support future growth in Louisville. Right there, that is future growth. That VA is future growth. That's not a lot of mobility. So again, it's a twofold project. You're getting safety improvements, but you're also getting the ability to accommodate such a project like the VA. Just as someone that lives out there, I was told when I first moved here, hey, be ready, that VA is going to cause a lot of traffic headaches. I heard a lot about congestion today. I heard a lot about, altering their routes and adjusting when they leave to make this.
To try to beat the rush hour.
Try and beat just any traffic. I leave at 2:30 to come into work, guys, and I am quite literally sometimes sitting on that stretch of 42 on a day where I'd say there's no traffic, takes 2 minutes. Might take 10, depending on the traffic. So again, I'm from the East Coast. I'm used to this, guys. But for the people out on this portion of the city, yeah, I can understand where this has become slightly a headache. And again, this is going to be a multi-year project. So
Which then bears, at least us keeping in mind a little extra patience, because the timeline I'm sure you've looked into and saying it's like, is it 3 years, 2 years more, give or take?
it's about a 3-year project. Okay. This should be complete sometime in 2020, I believe.
Is it 28?
7 actually. So 2.5.
So they're dating it back to 24 when like a lot of this would have started in earnest.
Yes. So this one says it's going to be getting done around, I believe, through June 2026 is when the phases are.
Okay.
But I believe it will bleed into 2027. So again, just a little bit of time for these drivers. I believe, I actually had a 16-year-old today, new driver that we got to talk to. I know, a new driver on that that part of the road. I was like, okay, good luck. But she said, look, just got to have patience, folks. And that's the same as, any day on the road. Or if you are just going to be waiting on this project to be done, folks, just have patience.
I know it's easier said than done, but at least we'll try to keep that in mind as this is all moving through. And so again, Logan, going to dive into the numbers, of course, getting people's thoughts because they're the ones using this road day in, day out, going to school, coming back from work. Try to manage things as best as they can.
Every day, dude. I do it every day.
No, including, it's, we use this road too. I don't use that particular exit to go home. I just know there's those days where like I have to go past that particular exit and just when there's a bottleneck and you just catch it at the wrong time.
You start to learn the back roads real well, dude.
Well, you're figuring out a different commute. It's the shortcuts or the detours, whatever you need to just get home if you can, not have to sit there in traffic often. So, all right, Logan, thank you. So we're going to follow that along. A reminder to, check in so you can hear Logan break things down tonight at 11 with us, and we're going to certainly be looking forward to that. All right, so I'm going to segue to some other updates for you here on Wave Extra. So just an update on the man who shot at Mayor Craig Greenberg back in 2022 during a campaign. We learned he pleaded guilty to his remaining charges today. It's Quintez Brown, already facing 17 years in federal prison, but at a state level, he was charged with attempted murder and 4 counts of wanton endangerment. So Wave News reporter Marissa Burke was there when this happened in court.
Cases against Quintez Brown are slowly wrapping up. On Thursday, Brown pleaded guilty to the state charges against him for the 2022 shooting at then mayoral candidate Craig Greenberg.
How do you wish to plead to 1 count of criminal attempt murder and 4 counts of wanton endangerment in the first degree? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Investigators say Brown shot into the mayor's campaign office. No one was hit, but the bullet did graze Greenberg's sweater. Brown's attorney said during his federal case that he was mentally ill and showed signs of depression and bipolar disorder. On Thursday, Brown's attorneys claim Brown has been treated and is competent, adding that they are confident in his plea. Brown pleaded guilty to his state charges of attempted murder and 4 counts of wanton endangerment. The Commonwealth attorney recommended 10 years to be served at the same time as Brown's 17-year federal sentence. By pleading guilty to his state charges, Brown waives his right to a jury trial. Brown is not to have contact with the mayor or the other victims. He was returned to federal custody following Thursday's hearing. Marissa Burke, Wave News.
All right, so thanks to Marissa for that update. We're going to be right back after the break with some ISCO Championship breakdown of today's round. Looking at a particular name that, if you caught Dusty Baker and myself chatting last night, a player and a prospect that he's really interested in. And Shannon Cogan going to break down some history, diving deep into the roots, past and present now of Firstborn Country Club, the setting for the ISCO Championship. So we're going to take a quick break right here on Wave Extra and be right back. All right, everyone, welcome back to Wave Extra. Time to talk ISCO Championship and today's action out at Hurstbourne Country Club. So let's get you right to it. This is courtesy of the guys, Kendrick and Dusty, following all the action. So let's take a look right now. And then we're listening to a little bit of the coverage there on the Golf Channel. But Chan Kim's putter on fire this morning, draining a long birdie putt on 15 right there. Then on 17, another long putt. This is moving him to 9 under par, which is just shy of the course record. He is sitting all alone atop the leaderboard, so very interesting to see how he'll manage to keep this momentum going. As fun aside, Kim's 61 ties the course record. So again, hoping to see if he keeps up that momentum going into the remaining rounds at the ISCO Championship. And while there were plenty of talented golfers out there, different backgrounds, coming up through different athletic programs, ages, of course, heading into round one of the 156 players competing to win the championship, none was as intriguing to our Dusty Baker as he called him a fast-rising phenom, 16-year-old Miles Russell. So this is Dusty's check-in with the boy phenom.
Ricky was probably my favorite when I was little. Just I wore the orange.
Growing up, Miles Russell watched Ricky Fowler, and Ricky's current age, only 36 years old.
I liked Ricky a lot, like Spieth, Phil. Phil was a lefty when I was little. I was like, oh, I can be like that guy, like the way we hit the golf ball, hitting it from the same side.
Russell, a 16-year-old lefty and budding star in the landscape of golf, is already playing in the PGA Tour events, including this weekend here at the ISCO Championship.
I think a lot of it goes back to my personality at home. I like the game. It's fun. Don't get too high and don't get too low, and just enjoy it.
The Jacksonville Beach native holding his own in the opening round, shooting even alongside his competitors, 22-year-old Gordon Sargent and 20-year-old Angel Iora.
I mean, the golf course is great. It's tough. For a little while there, we're all within 2 or 3. I mean, they both played great. It's fun to watch good golf like that too.
The Florida State commit is the second youngest to make the cut in a PGA Tour sanctioned event, and now has his eyes set on keeping his title hopes alive on Friday.
We just got to focus on tomorrow. Control what I can control. Enjoy it, embrace it. I think if you do that, you'll end up playing well, and maybe you make the cut, maybe you don't.
But if he does, that alone would be a special milestone.
To play on the weekend, haven't played on a weekend in a tour event, that'd be pretty special.
All right, so thanks to our Dusty, and hopefully, if you can keep the pressure level, as he says, not too high, not too low, hopefully, Russell will make the cut heading into these later rounds. And so that'll be pretty fun to see. Now, the setting, as he's figuring out the different layout and the different course designs out at Hurstbourne Country Club, want to show you what our Shannon Cogan discovered as she was digging into the history of this illustrious course.
The Hurstbourne Country Club clubhouse was built in 1854.
So, Chris, this was originally the front door.
It was.
The owner of the home was John Jacob Jr., the son of the first president of the Bank of Louisville and the city's first millionaire. It changed hands a few times, and in 1915, the Hurt family purchased the property for $125,000.
Every time you walk through here, you kind of think about the history of the place and how much it's seen over the years.
The Hurts enlarged the house and added many of the Gothic revival details, like the ornamental ceiling in the music room.
I know Mrs. Hurt, I've heard stories of Christmas times down here where, all of her staff would come down with their children and, they'd do Christmas in this room, which sounds pretty cool.
The mansion had 61 rooms. The drawing room was considered the most beautiful room in the house with its oak paneling.
And there's a lot of activity as they're getting ready for the ISCO.
There is.
After Mrs. Hurt died in 1948, Leroy Habaugh Sr. purchased the property. In 1965, it was announced a 27-hole golf course would be built and residential, commercial, and office projects as well. Memberships were sold, and Walter Pridgett is the golf course superintendent now. He says he's excited to see how the tour players play the course.
They play a completely different game than the average golfer does, right? I mean, it's not even the same game. And then I'm also just interested to get their feedback, because we can use that feedback to then adjust what we do to make it a better experience for our members and guests.
One of the changes for the ISCO Championship is they raised the height of the rough. It's now 4 inches, making it harder. Over the last 6 months, a lot of work's been underway, like putting up seating and suites.
It's cool, right? It gives the golf course a different look, right? You get used to seeing something. You know, for 22 years I've looked at the same thing every day, right? And now you see this, and it's like, you know, it's real.
Fascinating stuff. Of course, we're going to keep the team out there with Kendrick and Dusty following the latest action through Sunday in the final round. For any of those updates, of course, a great tool is wave3.com. I was trying to pull up a tool so you all could see what was on the homepage for tonight. But needless to say, a lot of breaking stories you've been following, the stuff we've been looking into this afternoon. We're going to keep a tab on all of those things tonight on Wave News at 11. A reminder, you can always download the free Wave News app to get those updates and alerts on your phone. That's likely how many of you are tuning into Wave Extra every Monday through Friday night. And yeah, we're going to have the team ready for you at 11 with myself, Logan, Kevin, breaking things down as we're now one day closer to the weekend. Looking forward to more things to do over a nice summer weekend. Hopefully the weather cooperates for those golfers and the fans out there at Hurstbourne Country Club. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight on Wave Extra. Always appreciate you joining us on the Wave Now app, on your smart device, Roku TV, social media channels. Appreciate you spending that time with us as we wrap up our Thursday night. Hope everyone takes care. We will see you tomorrow.